Well, guess what? We're back talking about Ukraine, and we just gave $40 billion. Now we're up to like $54 billion total we gave to Ukraine for this proxy war with Russia that didn't need to happen. And Zelensky now says only diplomacy can end Ukraine war.
Thanks for telling us now.
Wow. Did the pallets with the $40 billion arrive yet? Yes. We need diplomacy. We need I forgot to mention that before I asked for the 40 billion. We're really that's not gonna fix it.
Honest question is, do you think that he asked for 40 billion? They're like, you're gonna take 40 billion, and then they don't. You know what I mean? Like, has he maybe wanted diplomacy, and there's no choice. We're not having diplomacy, Zelensky. So
here's what the story is, Kurt. Zelensky has wanted diplomacy from day one, but the Nazis in his country told him that if he does that, they'll kill him. And NATO has said the same thing. So he's between a rock and a hard place. And after the 40 billion, I guess the defense contractors, which are the people who are really running this war, told Biden, okay, now you go do your diplomacy, whatever you want to do. So this is Zelensky. So Zelensky, he got his $40 billion. And now he's ready for diplomacy. Did the skid of cash, did the pallets of cash get delivered? Yes. Well, put that in a van, drive it to my bunker, and then let's do diplomacy. So here we go. The war in Ukraine can only be resolved through diplomacy, President Volodymyr Zelensky has said. Speaking on national TV, I always think, whenever I see that, I always think they're joking when they say his name is Voldemort. I always think that's a joke. Speaking on national TV, he suggests, that's like, hey, my Dr. Frankenstein says. It's like, what the? Speaking on national TV, he suggested his country could be victorious against Russia on the battlefield. However, he added that the war could only come to a conclusive halt at the negotiating table, like we've been saying since this started. We all know how it's going to end. And what are we doing? Well, what we're doing is the United States military-industrial complex got themselves $54 billion to play with. That's what happened. And well, they didn't get all of it, but they got most of it. And then whatever was left over, we shipped it in cash on pallets over to Ukraine, which is the most corrupt country in Europe. Where do you think that money's going? You think it's going to help the people? Meanwhile, heavy fighting is taking place in and around, how do you say that?
Severodonetsk.
Thank you. Around Severodonetsk, as Russian forces step up efforts to seize the whole of the Luhansk region. Did I say that right?
Yes.
The end of fighting in the southern port city of Mariupol has freed up Russian troops for redeployment elsewhere and allowed them to intensify their onslaught in the east. So that's the BBC. Why are they telling us that that Russia's winning? Why are they telling the truth? It seems like, are they telling the truth? Why would they do that?
We just had a victorious evacuation. How could that be?
How could that be? We're evacuating ourselves in victory. BBC correspondent James Waterhouse said Russia has increased its artillery and airstrikes as well as missile attacks, gaining ground mile by mile in Luhansk, while the Ukrainians are forced to retreat. I don't know why they're telling the truth about this. Isn't that weird that they're telling the truth about that? I think it is. Well, here it is. So here's Severodonetsk. I don't know how to. I'm not saying these names, but so the purple is the area that's held by Ukraine. See the purple? This is the Russian military, and this is where Russia is advancing. Okay, and this is all the red arrows. Those are the directions of the Russian advance. Okay, so it looks like Russia has stuff pretty well in hand. That's what it looks like. In his TV address, Mr. Zelensky said the conflict will be bloody. There will be fighting, but it will only definitively end through diplomacy. Then why not just do it? But he indicated this would not be easy, as neither side wanted to give anything up. So you just want to let Russia keep slaughtering your people, right? Okay. On Tuesday, Kiev's lead. I'm not saying Kyiv. It is Kiev.
Why are they saying Kyiv?
It's not chicken Kyiv. No matter what you think, no matter how many assholes on corporate news say Kyiv, it is chicken Kiev. On Tuesday, Kiev's lead negotiator, Mikhailo Podolyak, said talks were on hold. The following day, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov accused Kiev authorities of not wanting to continue talks to end hostilities. Now, we know this is true. This is the problem, that NATO, Joe Biden, and the Nazis in Ukraine won't let Zelensky negotiate the end of this war. Russian news agencies say the last meeting happened nearly a month ago on April 22nd. With no end in sight to this fighting, the U.S. is sending more military, economic, and humanitarian aid. On Saturday, President Joe Biden signed a bill to provide a package for Ukraine worth nearly $40 billion, the White House said, with no end in sight. What?
It's pronounced Kyiv.
It's pronounced Kyiv?
I thought it was Kev.
No, it is not. I know that's what they're saying.
Kiev.
It's chicken Kyiv. It's not chicken Kyiv. And so I'm
Spelled differently. Kiev. Chicken Kiev.
Oh yeah?
Yes. Just wanted to let you know.
I'm still gonna say Kiev. Even if it's wrong. Even if it's wrong. I don't mind being wrong. Sometimes you gotta be wrong so you know when you're right.
Okay.
In another development, Russia has switched off its gas supply to Finland after it refused Moscow's demand to pay for fuel in Russian rubles.
Can't NATO do something about this?
Why don't they start bombing Finland? Every single one of us who has been calling for diplomacy and peace talks instead of sending $40 billion of weapons has been falsely smeared by liberals as being Russian assets. Is your new hero Zelensky a Russian asset now too, you brain-dead sheep? Good point, Ryan Knight. Ryan Knight makes another appearance.
I pronounce it Shiep.
I get savaged by Americans here when I even come close to suggesting this. Zelensky says only diplomacy can end Ukraine war. I'm with you, Walter. Strange how Zelensky has given up after Joe Biden and the Republicans and Democrats just gave Ukraine $40 billion. See how this works? Zelensky, that's how it works. We'll do, I think I have a couple more of these. Russia is losing this. Oh, this is that guy Vindman. Jackson, is this the Vindman? Who is this guy?
That's the same one, right?
Alexander S. Vindman.
Yeah.
That's not the guy who was
Is it not?
He would have his uniform on in his picture, wouldn't he?
I can't see the picture.
Who doesn't? He just has a suit on. Anyway, he says Russia is losing this war. Steph, can you go to his Twitter page and see what his bio is?
Okay.
I think it is the same guy. I just looked it up.
Russia is losing this war, he says. This guy who is a professional liar. He says, I know no serious military analyst with experience in the region who believes otherwise. Jackson, didn't you just interview a colonel from the United States military who says otherwise?
Yes.
And
Colonel Douglas McGregor.
Colonel Douglas McGregor. And what did he say?
He said that, well, I interviewed him he's done a bunch of appearances. His assessment is that Russia is completely dominating right now. It would be the equivalent if Russia tried to start a proxy war against the United States on the U.S.-Mexican border. It wouldn't go well.
Right. Okay. So it'd be like if we were fighting Mexico.
Yes.
Did you
All
want
that proves is that the Vin man doesn't know him.
Did you want to verify that this is Lieutenant Colonel U.S. Army
him!
retired? This is him.
So this is that guy who everybody tried to make a hero out of him when he was testifying against Trump. Remember that?
Oh, that guy.
He was
on Curb Your Enthusiasm, wasn't he?
So he was supposed to be a whistleblower. He was blowing a whistle. No, on the president. No, that's not a whistleblower. A whistleblower blows the whistle on his own agency. So if he was blowing the whistle on the CIA, then he'd be a whistleblower. He was not, or whatever agency he was working for.
Sir, that's not the whistle you blew on the president.
That was Adam Schiff. So here's his lie. I know no serious military analyst with experience in the region who believes otherwise. He's lying. Moreover, it now seems possible Ukraine may liberate the territories seized since February and look to free the territories occupied since 2014. That is all a lie.
I didn't even know Russia had seized and occupied all these territories. I heard it wasn't even, they were doing terrible the whole time.
Here's Edmund Lubega says, I had it all wrong. Ukraine is definitely winning and Russia is losing badly. All Russians has been able to do is capture places like Mariupol, Popanza, Kherson, secure a land corridor to Crimea, and control territory in Donbass the size of UK, whereas Ukraine won the Eurovision.
Zelensky got a Grammy, I think, didn't he?
Yeah. Well said. That guy, Edmund Lubega. You should send in jokes to the show. Freedom Alliance tweeted, wouldn't it have been better for the UK, USA, and the European Union to have encouraged the Ukrainian government to negotiate a diplomatic solution from the start, rather than pouring billions into military aid, resulting in enormous death, destruction, and displacement? You Freedom Alliance, you're so adorable. No, if they would have done that to start with, we wouldn't have got the $40 billion, fuckface. That's what this is about. Okay. And they wouldn't have gotten them to cut off the Nord Stream 2 pipeline from Russia to Germany, which is important because that Russia provides 40% of the energy to Europe, and the United States fossil fuel companies want some of that liquid natural gas, right? That's what they want.
Liquid freedom, I believe, was the term.
Liquid freedom.
Liquid freedom.
Freedom gas. Liquid freedom. Anyway, there you go. Now, Jackson, you follow this a lot more. It's exactly as I said it, right? This is why Zelensky now says we. So why do you think the Nazis are saying? So like he wasn't allowed to say we need negotiations by the Nazis and NATO. Or do you think either one of them are letting him say that now?
Well, he's saying it with the caveats that one of those tweets mentioned, that he's only going to accept a peace deal if he gets back Donetsk, Lugansk, Crimea, which Russia's held since 2014, so on and so forth. So he's living in a fantasy land, but he's not serious about moving forward with these negotiations. But he should be, because today Russia has begun encircling about 20,000 troops in eastern Ukraine in the Donbass, and it's not going to go well for them.
So just in case this is the first time you've heard us talk about this, what's going on is a proxy war. NATO provoked this. It started in 2014 when NATO and the United States instituted a coup in Ukraine. We did that. We overthrew their democratically elected government. And so then that government, that coup government, then started shelling and killing people in the Donbass who were Russians and affiliated themselves with Russia. And that's what's been going on for 8 years. And there was a peace agreement for them to stop doing that, and they wouldn't, which is why Putin eventually invaded. And so it's going to end this way. This is how it's going to end. I mean, the Donbass is going to be controlled by Russia. Crimea is going to be back. However it's going to end, however Putin wants it to end. And we shouldn't be encouraging this. But of course, we're encouraging this because it's a grift. It's a money transfer from the United States Treasury to the military-industrial complex. And that's all that's happening here. Hey, we're doing stand-up comedy in Irvine, California, Las Vegas, San Diego, Salt Lake City, Indianapolis, Louisville, all over the place. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets.